what? We'll start with something new, okay? We'll start with this, because we've never covered these guys before. I think Jake has a couple times at least. I kind of feel weirdly connected to these two people, and let me explain why. Their set, where it's just 2 microphones and a laptop and some stuff they threw on a wall. I remember these days. I remember a decade ago when Jake and I were starting out our show and we just had basically an empty room with some microphones and we were just talking shit into the microphone. I know what this feels like. Unfortunately for these guys, they've built their entire political identity, and in fact a lot of their identity on YouTube, with Trump. Look at their set. It's a Trump flag and then 4 MAGA hats. Like, that's a losing proposition. Never do this. I'll relay this advice over and over again so people get this. Never, ever, 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 if you're trying to start a career, being a pundit or doing anything online similar, never put an expiration tag on your online identity or your show, right? Like, there's a reason this show is Chud Watch and not, like, Trump supporter watch. You know what I mean? Like, we've done a lot of MAGA cope lately, but that's not what the show is, right? The show is looking at chuds, right? And that's like a concept that's going to last a very long time. You don't want to do this. This is never good. I missed some stuff. Let me see. Towing 24, 20 bits. Shit like this is why I totally think if Trump is stupid crazy enough to run in 2024, he'll totally get the GOP nomination, because none of the other GOP chuds have enough of the base frothing at the mouth to get them to give a shit. Yeah, I could see it. We'll see what happens, though. Enthusiastically grumpy with 40 bits. Please, ma'am, can we have some young conservative brothers? Indeed we can. Tucker White 94, 20 bits. Ah, the good old days when mic quality wasn't a prerequisite for good videos, sex abacus wasn't an overused joke, and the biggest idiot in politics was Sarah Palin. Those were the days, weren't they? Wasn't that nice? Anyway. How many hats do I have? I have 5. For each level of the hype train we got earlier, I put on a hat. Anyway, so here's the young conservative brothers on President Trump will win. This is how. I'm going to guess that these two are going to advocate for some sort of anti-democratic measure where in some way either the legislatures will try and appoint their own delegates, the opposite of what is chosen by the popular vote in their state. For instance, Michigan, we have, you know, Biden won the election by 150,000 votes. Presumably, these people will either advocate for the legislature going around the will of the people, ignoring it, and appointing Trump delegates, which I don't think is going to happen, but maybe they'll give it a shot. Who knows? Or it'll involve something like trying to sidestep the Electoral College in the first place and just having, like, the House vote or something. It'll be something stupid that will be completely undemocratic either way. Harry K5 with 20 bits. A lot of right-wing YouTubers, when Trump came in 2015, basically hitched their wagon to him before it was Gamergate and its extension on the culture war. Remember that shit? They'll probably go back to culture war bullshit now that their echo chamber... that only their echo chamber listens to anyway. Yeah, actually, that's the topic of a video we're watching a little bit later. Tim Pool basically says, like, he's going to fight the culture war by, and I'm not kidding, he's going to make videos about skateboarding to get in touch with the youths, but we'll cover that later.
We are the Young Conservative Brothers.
Oh boy. 2 young white guys with Trump memorabilia talking about how good Donald Trump is. Duh, the market's not saturated enough with that already. What a unique idea.
And we're here to break the stigma that white people can't talk about race, the system, and the government while stopping these radical left Democrats destroying this beautiful country that we live in.
If you are new here, don't forget to click down, subscribe, and turn on notifications to get new videos when we upload them.
These guys aren't parody, but if this were like a parody of people like John Doyle, they'd be nailing it. I just want to point that out.
So today, we're getting into Trump will win.
Yeah.
Why he will.
Yeah, there's a lot of hope that he's going to, with the legal team going through all their fraud, which you can definitely check out. Our videos will be down in the description. But there's a lot of margin of
Oh,
success,
close.
pretty
That's the
much.
thing,
It's
is
close
closeness
and-
with everything.
No,
They
I'm
still
I'm still
cheat and they
wearing the
still make
hats. I'm just
margin
gonna wear
this
them on my
small.
wrists.
That's how
because
much
it's getting
Trump's
hard to
got
balance.
support for. But the real map, what I will say, what it looks like, because you know all the 6 areas: Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona. It was Wisconsin and Michigan. You know, they're all legal ballots in there. The real map shows if you put all of them and don't count for anyone, Trump's winning 232 to 2.
For the record, this video came out on November 23rd, okay? This was before some of these states had certified their votes and before a lot of these lawsuits had been thrown out, but nonetheless, this was hilarious even on the 23rd. This was long past the point these states had been called, right? At this point, yes, Michigan certified its vote, Pennsylvania, I think, certified its vote, Wisconsin certified its vote after a recount.
There's nothing
like,
funny about the tools of capitalism.
This isn't it, guys. This isn't it. I don't understand the want to delude yourself this hard, because in the end it's self-defeating. These two are going to have to recognize, first in December when the electors actually meet and vote for Biden, and then again in January when Biden actually gets inaugurated, they're going to have to come face to face with reality. Maybe it's just because Republicans' go-to strategy, and conservatives in general, whatever you want to call them, their go-to strategy for any argument or any political position to put forward like a conservative viewpoint is to ignore reality. Maybe it's become such a reflex and it's gotten so bad in the last 4 years that they forgot that there are certain situations where you have to face reality. I don't know. Either way, I don't know what's going to happen in January when Biden gets inaugurated, but it's going to be bad. Like, someone's going to do some dumb shit. We already saw when they were counting votes in Pennsylvania, some QAnon people showed up with, like, intent to kill some people. I think they had some guns, they had some other stuff, they had some, like, explosives or something. Either way, they got arrested for, you know, what they were about to do. They got caught before they did, luckily. But that stuff's gonna happen. It's gonna be real bad. Tucker White 94, 20 bets. Wait, I forgot. Who won the election? Let's take a look, shall we? Ah, yes. It appears Joseph Biden, Sleepy Joe Biden, has won the election against single-term impeached president Donald J. Trump. Weird how that works, huh? Harry K5 with 20 bits. I normally work as an election judge during election years. I skipped this year because of COVID, but I plan to come back in 22. All these claims are either laughable or just make me do the Picard facepalm. I'd imagine so. They're pretty ridiculous. 12 a.m. coffee with 20 bits. In their response to Jake, they called the Communist Manifesto the Communist Manufascio. Oh, they're trying. They're trying so hard.
27 right now.
Yeah, because since as of right now, it's
It
not
doesn't-
cold.
It doesn't go for anyone.
No.
It's all lawsuits in there for voter fraud.
Yeah.
But you get into Wisconsin, you think we're going to get into the margins.
They're not even right on that point. We read some of these legal briefs a while ago. None of the lawsuits that the Trump campaign filed in these states claimed voter fraud. Rudy Giuliani is on the record in court saying this is not a case of voter fraud. We are alleging no voter fraud because they know that they can be censured if they lie under oath. And when you file legal briefs, that stuff, it is assumed that if you are lying in those legal briefs, that it is perjury. So they're aware that they can't make these claims in court, which is why they're making them, I don't know, let's say in a hotel conference room where they've been having, like, get-togethers with state legislatures, or Republicans from their state legislatures, rather. We saw that, I think, in Pennsylvania, and I think they had one in Nevada or Arizona as well. The point being, even the Trump team knows that they can't win this in the courts because there's no evidence of voter fraud. What they're trying to do is create confusion, which is only working amongst the dumbest of dumb Republicans like these people, to try and say, oh, when we go ahead and try and overthrow the will of the actual voters, then at least half the country will be on our side. That's the strategy at this point. It's become pretty clear to me that at this point they know they're not going to win the legal battle, so they're goal at this point is to try and overturn the election through other means. For instance, like I said earlier, trying to get the legislatures to appoint rogue electors or Trump electors instead of Biden electors, as the vote would, you know, have them be. So we'll see. I don't think that'll work either for a variety of reasons. But either way, we'll see. We'll see what they try and do. Tucker White 94 20 bits. So how do Chuds spin the fact that Trump's cronies have said in court under oath that there's no voter fraud? I don't know. I don't think they're aware of that. Or if they are aware of that, they just completely ignore it.
Wisconsin's only 20,000 votes. What do we know about Wisconsin? There's 150,000 more votes than registered voters.
Yeah.
And they're repeating the Sidney Powell claim that came out of them literally. This is why it's annoying to me, okay? There's a saying that goes, a lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth can put its pants on. The idea being that if you tell a lie, it'll spread much quicker than the truth. Sidney Powell made claims about there being more votes in Michigan counties than there were registered voters. And this was a complete lie, because what they were actually doing was comparing Minnesota voter registrations to Michigan counties, because they didn't know that the abbreviation for Michigan was MI and not MN, which is, of course, Minnesota's. So people are still spreading this bullshit that's based on a complete misunderstanding of basic things you should know from, like, the first grade. It's absolutely absurd.
I think they're all going to Biden.
Biden, yeah.
We already know that. But you think you get that 20,000, 150,000, that just goes away with no problem.
Yeah. And then Pennsylvania has 80,000 more votes, which we know.
But what do we know about it? Giuliani and them released that 623,000 votes were not supervised. So it was no supervisors looking at it, so it could have been no match signatures. They're
literally, again, talking about the lawsuits where they're like, we didn't get close enough to the vote counts. We actually read the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's decision on refiling this lawsuit the other day, and they basically say, no, you're wrong on every count of this. Basically, the Trump campaign is alleging, at least in Pennsylvania, hey, we don't think that the people who are watching the vote count got to be close enough, but the judges rule, no, absolutely not. There's no provision in the law that says how close you have to be. You just have to be present. They were present. It's fine. So, that case got thrown out the other day. That was after this video came out, though, for the record.
Dated it, got everywhere. Just
dead people voting,
yeah,
all that stuff.
All the mess. No one was supervising, so they can't be certified. And that's where we see why...
The dead people voting thing, again, is a complete lie, too. This has been fact-checked, like, multiple times. There are times when, for instance, votes are put on by... What was the one example that people had in Michigan? It was someone in Detroit who a bunch of right-wingers like Steven Crowder and, you know, Ben Shapiro, a bunch of dummies, were basically saying, this is a dead person who voted. And it wasn't a dead person who voted. It was someone who had the same exact name, first and last, and the same birth date, I think, of someone who was dead, and they had confused the two. What do you know? Right-wingers are wrong again. They are so tired of all this winning. Undead Felis with 50 bits. Chud watch, Chud watch, Chud watch.
He made up the 700,000 votes in literally overnight.
Literally overnight. Trump was ahead by 700,000 votes. Now he comes to nothing.
It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So you're saying,
it does. Again, guys, this has been explained to you guys multiple times, but you choose to ignore it because you don't care about the truth. You care about winning, which is disgusting, by the way. Because at the end of the day, you shouldn't have a team. You should have morals, right? You should have truisms that you abide by. So the truth in this matter is that there were in-person votes which favored Republicans because we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and for some reason you idiots have politicized a disease. So right-wingers more likely to go vote in person because they didn't, you know, care about catching a deadly illness that could, if not kill them, kill their elderly relatives or people with pre-existing conditions. The mail-in votes, largely Democratic, specifically because Donald Trump spent the entire year demonizing mail-in voting and also downplaying the deadly pandemic going on. So that favored Democrats. Now, in these same states, Republican legislatures forbade them from starting to count these early votes prior to Election Day. There were states that did allow this, places like Florida. They had early mail-in voting, but they let them start counting them before Election Day, and we knew their results the night of the election. This was an intentional strategy by the right. They wanted it to look sus, so they could push this line of like, oh, Donald Trump was ahead, and then all of a sudden, something happened, and now we don't know. No. What happened was, again, they started counting mail-in votes, and they had to count them last. So those that favored Democrats came in late and came in large batches because they were doing them all at once. It's very simple. Anyone who is paying attention and who isn't a partisan hack could tell you exactly what was going to happen. And they did. This was talked about in the news prior to election night. Hey, the red mirage is going to happen, and in some areas there might even be a blue mirage. The fact is, we're not going to know the total vote counts for like a week, and we didn't. There have been recounts, there have been audits. Trump paid millions of dollars for a recount in Wisconsin, and all that happened was that Biden ended up with more votes than before the recount. You're so mad that you lost the election. You need to get past this. You need to take the Trump flag down because you look like losers. Because you lost and you have a flag of a loser behind you. Take your own flag with your heads in front of its advice. Drink some rum. Maybe learn to get used to the fact that Biden's going to be president for the next 4 years, because he is. Staying quiet now with 20 bits. Check out Trump's Twitter for a ridiculous statement he just released. I don't even want to. I'm sure it's ridiculous. I don't want to give that idiot any more attention than he already has. His presidency is on its last 2 months. I'm sick of giving attention to that idiot.
Votes, like 800,000 votes, just all go for Biden. Oh, yeah. When you cheat, it does.
It is. Then you get into Nevada, 34,000 votes he's ahead
That's
of.
not even, and you know all the fraud and you have in Las Vegas and everything.
And up in Reno.
They're so intelligent and well-spoken. And all that fraud you have in Las Vegas. Would you care to expound on that thought? Or would you like to continue repeating talking points that you heard, I don't know, on right-wing Twitter from Sidney Powell? It's like they just repeat Buzz phrases.
There's a lot. It's all in the Democrat areas. Then Georgia. We know that we're in this recount, which is a phony recount.
It's ready. They already did it and everything. Yeah. But the Trump even is putting out to Georgia to do another recount, but it has to be supervised.
Supervised. And they're doing the same thing. They voted every single vote that there was.
They counted every they counted every single vote. It was pretty much a waste of time of a recount.
Yeah, in recounts, you count all the votes. You count the votes again. You know how recounts work? Did you want them to just, oh, hey, Graugot, thank you for raiding. Welcome, raiders. We're looking at young conservative brothers being idiots and thinking that the election is a fraud. Go check out Graugot's channel. I actually need to check out. I'm not familiar. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it.
But
waste of money, everything.
Wisconsin, what I've heard is that they're going to do a recount, but they're actually going to do it smart, what I've heard. So they're going to have a balloter person, counting the votes just regularly. Then they're going to have a plexiglass.
Is he talking about Wisconsin?
Is that they're going to do a recount, but they're actually going to do it smart, what I've heard.
So you hear here first, folks. The young conservative brothers say that the Wisconsin recount is being done smart. The Wisconsin recount is done, and guess what? They found more Biden votes. So there you go. I'm glad you guys agree with the Wisconsin recount.
So you're going to have a balloter person, counting the votes just regularly. Then they're going to have a plexiglass by their side. So let's go say that I'm the supervisor. I'm going to be sitting, I'm the supervisor right here. You're going to have a Biden and a Trump one, and then a third party one behind them. Then you're going to have the person that counts the ballots sitting right there, so everyone can see and verify the ballots. That should have happened at the first part. You could put a plexiglass so everyone wearing masks.
Everyone, yep, just like how they were during it.
So you can see what the ballot is to see if it's actually you can certify it. Yeah. So it's match signatures, everything. With all this beginning stuff.
Leah HCIC, thank you for gifting a sub.
It wasn't, no one was there. They were standing 100 feet away, everything. No one could see it.
And then that was the problem with all this mail-in ballots. Was all the exposed and easy fraud that can have. It was a high risk.
Yeah, it was like nothing was getting certified.
Nothing was.
But the good thing about the Wisconsin thing, they better keep it going because the Trump team made sure it happened, is that every single pollster, I'll call them pollsters, there's always 3 people there to certify the ballot. That's good because that's how it should be. Because if it's not certified and it's an illegal vote, illegal ballot,
Leah HCIC, thank you for subscribing.
Legal ballots, and whoever wins from there wins. Yeah. But
there you go. They even just admitted it. Whoever wins from there wins. You're right. I agree. Biden got more votes after that particular recount that they're talking about. So good job, young conservative brothers. I'm sure your opinion on the Wisconsin recount hasn't shifted at all since it came out in Biden's favor yet again. Because certainly you wouldn't be hypocrites, would you?
To Georgia, how we said, they just counted every single vote that they just received. And we know they counted illegal votes too.
Tucker White 94 with 20 minutes. Wait, if people were standing 100 feet away, like you said, then how was nobody there? They weren't even 100 feet away. They're being hyperbolic. If they were talking about, like, Pennsylvania, for instance, I think they were, like, 20 feet away. And then Trump took them to court and said, like, they were either 20 feet or 10 feet. I don't remember. And then Trump took them to court and said, like, oh, we want to be 6 feet away. So then they're like, okay, you can be 6 feet away. And then eventually that got bumped up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and that win got overturned. And they said, no, there's nothing in the law that says how close you have to be. You just have to be in the room to make sure, you know, there's no irregularities. And, yeah. They're basically just bitching because they lost. They're grasping at straws. They're looking for literally any excuse to try and claim fraud because there's no actual evidence of it because it didn't happen. Monique Christine, thank you for subscribing. 2-month streak, and then Agent Venom Snake with bits. Hi, Hannah. Was wondering if you could give my friend Haley a shout out. She's a big fan of your content. All right, cool. Hello, Haley. Thanks for enjoying my content. Agent Venom Snake says hi. Dr. Gamble with 20 bits. Recounts are fake. Now let's get a new recount, a smart recount. In fact, let's recount repeatedly until we fall in that small margin of error in which our candidate wins. The thing is, there's no the Trump loss margins are not within the margin of error. Even if we counted 1,000 times, it's not going to change the result because Biden won by enough that it's not going to be within that margin. It's just crazy. Like here in Michigan, Biden won by 150,000 votes. That's not within any margin of error. Trump lost handily. It's ridiculous.
Didn't do what Wisconsin is doing right now.
No. Tucker White 94, 20 bits. I swear GOPers think voter fraud works like Chris Farley's Black Sheep. Oh God, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
They're not. No, it's completely sham and a waste of money.
Yeah.
So Arizona is, Biden's only up by 11,000. That's already within recount.
Oh, yeah.
Bye, right there.
But the recounts aren't happening as quick as possible, though. It's kind of weird, isn't that?
It is. Yeah, it's taking a little bit of time against the Democrat judges.
Oh yes, but the thing we're gonna get into, like the
Trump's lawsuit in Pennsylvania was thrown out by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court by 3 Republican judges. The main one that actually wrote the decision was a Trump appointee. All these Republican and Trump appointee liberal judges, why won't they take Daddy Trump seriously? It's almost like he's full of shit. Weird how that works. Mock 7 Samurai, thank you for following. And Sensei 2192, thanks for following.
Victory. So we know if Trump wins Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, he wins.
Yep.
If we just take these 3 states that he didn't win, and he wins them, then he'll win the election. You're not wrong, but he didn't win those states, so here we are.
And also, another thing is Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and that will put Trump to 278, and that's all capable.
Yeah. Which chuds have we covered so far? These guys are the first ones we're doing today. We also have Jeremy on deck. We have this guy who's mad Bill Barr said there was no election fraud, and then we have some Tim Pool stuff and some Sargon.
Honestly, what I think is Trump should win all 6 states because it's so obvious a voter fraud.
I just think I like Trump and I don't like Biden, so I just think Trump should win these states he lost, guys. That's how elections work, right? Are these guys younger than John Doyle? Are these 2 like 18 years old? Do they know how elections work? Because I guarantee this is the first election they voted in. Just by looking at them. Guys, that's not how it works. I understand that it's hard when the person you wanted to win loses. I've voted in 3 presidential elections, which isn't as many as other people, but still it's more than you guys. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And it hurts when you lose, and it's nice when you win. But when you lose, you just gotta, like, accept it. Accept it. It happened. You gotta learn to cope with disappointments in life.
How close it is.
Meaty 52 with 30 bits. Okay, good. I was worried I missed Sargon. Yeah, don't worry. You didn't miss him.
There should be no chance.
And then now push him well over 300.
Oh, yeah, by
Easy
far.
electoral votes.
And then you want to get into the other possibilities?
Yeah,
you can
so
get
it'll be
into?
Georgia, Pennsylvania, and
Doom,
Arizona.
thanks for
that will
following.
literally push Trump to 279.
And you know you can win every single
yeah.
state, and they have evidence everywhere.
Yeah, so he doesn't even
We
have
have
to win.
evidence. We have evidence. We have evidence. Guys, you know saying the word evidence doesn't mean evidence, right? Like you need to present that evidence. If you have evidence, then you need to present that evidence, not just say we have evidence. It's one of those things where the word evidence is losing all its meaning because we're saying it so often. Like, if you have evidence, you show it. I don't just say, like, I have evidence, believe me. That's not how evidence works.
All 6 states,
No.
which he should, but he doesn't have to. He just has to win 3 out of the 6. With these 2 sets, he can easily
and 3
win.
sets. Remember Michigan,
3 sets, yep.
Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And that's the thing about it. It should be...
Let's see which states have certified the vote so far.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Certified. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Let's see. Wisconsin and Michigan have already certified. So has Pennsylvania. So has Georgia. So has Arizona and Nevada. All the swing states that mattered this election have already certified their votes. It's over. It's all over but the crying, you might say. So now we just have these solidly blue states that are going to certify their votes.
There's nothing funny about
And
the
also,
tools of
you know,
capitalism.
Tennessee, Mississippi, and Missouri. And yeah, that's it. They're just going to certify their votes, send their electors. They're going to vote for Biden. Biden's going to be president. That's how the election works.
That's right.
Every
Capitalism
time. Again, I feel like a lot of this comes from, like, some of these people, like these kids. This is their first election, and maybe they weren't really paying attention, you know, during the Obama
nothing
years
funny about the tools
or
of capitalism.
whatever, or even during maybe the first Trump election. I don't know. But, like, this is how it always works. On election night, or in this case, we had a very strange election week because we had so much mail-in voting, that gets decided, and then that person becomes president. The rest are formalities. The Electoral College, while it is the system we have, it's a foregone conclusion who's going to win the Electoral College once the election gets called. It just is. It's all a formality, okay? A lot of it is a vestige of, you know, 200-year-old electoral systems. Stuff doesn't change at this point, nor should it, because the people have spoken. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. Don't ask me to show it, but I have evidence that Hannah once snorted cocaine on Mars. That one's actually true. Meaty 52 with 40 bits. Does making fun of chuds on Twitch count as cyberbullying if they're still in high school? They're not in high school. They don't look like they're in high school. They look like they're freshmen in college. Maybe.
No problem, because what Giuliani and them were saying that they're
There's nothing
really trying to
funny
push
about the tools of
Michigan was
capitalism.
Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. The only issue I have with this election is that New York still hasn't counted 100% of the votes, even a month after the election. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. They should... Probably because they have lower priority, just because it's like a pretty solidly blue state, you know what I mean? Like, it's not election deciding because everyone knows how it's gonna go. But, yeah, it shouldn't take this long. I'd agree with you.
Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. That's where they have the biggest evidence, but when you get into Arizona and Georgia, they're only 11,000 for Arizona. Biden's leading, and Georgia's only 13,000. Where if you get into all the fraud and they count actually the legal ballots and get rid of all illegal ballots, Trump.
How do you tell if one is an illegal ballot or if one's a legal ballot? Well, if it voted for Trump, it's legal, and if it voted for Biden, it's illegal. Frustrating.
wins those, and that's not even a big margin at all.
Yeah. And then for Trump gaining 10 million more votes, From last election, 2016, to this election, it is a huge. And Judicial Watch found that 353 counties in 29 states had 1.8 million more votes than actual voters. And that was just not in the 6 states. That was through 29 states.
Yeah.
So how much are in those just states? That's probably a big margin.
Oh, we already know about, what is it, Wisconsin's 150,000. You probably go Pennsylvania's 200. You go into all of them that they're not releasing yet because they got to present it to the judge, of course. But the thing is, it's...
Hey, none of the lawsuits alleged fraud because there was no evidence of it, which is why all the cases got thrown out. Fun fact. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. Elementary hand. Illegal votes flash blue and have illegal on them when held up to the light. I shit you not. There was a QAnon. I don't think QAnon. Maybe QAnon said this. I don't remember. I gotta look into it. Either way, a bunch of QAnon people believed this, whether QAnon said it or it was some other bullshit source. But they said, oh, the election ballots were. The real ones had radiometric watermarks put on them by Donald Trump. And that's how they're going to prove election fraud. This is bullshit for a variety of reasons. One of them being the federal government does not print election ballots. States run their elections. But it is one of those funny, QAnon conspiracy BS things. It's weird how again, it's grasping at straws. Any chance they can have to undo reality, they'll take it.
It's just sad to see how we say it in every single voter fraud video. It's how the Democrats can cheat. But why wouldn't they just try to cheat better?
Well, I'm glad they didn't.
Oh, I know.
I'm so glad they didn't.
But Pennsylvania is the thing that they...
There's a QAnon Twitch channel. I know I'm following a channel on Twitch that talks about QAnon stuff, but not in support. The opposite. I follow one that's like debunks and talks about how weird it is, but I'm not aware of one that's like an official QAnon one. Tucker White 94, 20 bets. Oh, Jesus, tap dancing Christ. I was joking when I said the votes had watermarks. Yeah, it's crazy.
There's nothing funny about
Harry K5 with 20 bets. Are they seriously claiming that voter registration increase equals fraud? If that's the case, then these guys' votes shouldn't count either. Yeah, there was like and this is true for Republicans too. Republicans had amazing ground game this election. They registered a ridiculous number of new voters, right? Which is part of the reason Trump did so well. Trump did amazingly, which is so weird for these claims of fraud. They're like, there's so much fraud. Like, not really. Donald Trump did like well. Donald Trump got the second most votes of any presidential candidate in history. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? But it is reality. It just so happens Joe Biden got more, which is very lucky. But it was an election that was important. Everyone gave a shit about this election because I think everyone, whether you're one of these idiots or you're someone who doesn't like fascism, recognized that this election was incredibly important for the direction our country is going in, right? Whether it's fascy Donald Trump direction or it's like, yeah, let's veer off, okay? Let's take the exit off of fascy highway. Luckily, enough people voted to want to take the exit, but I don't know. People like this are just still claiming fraud because even though Donald Trump got the second most votes of any president in history, he lost. So it's weird. It's just very weird. MMO addicted. Speaking of, are we still doing Beneath the Mask sometime? Eventually, yeah. That XY girl 25 bits. I heard from QAnon that Joe Biden's walking boot is to hide an ankle bracelet because Trump has him under house arrest. That is a real thing QAnon people are claiming. I talked about this earlier. Joe Biden did something to his ankle or something when he was playing with his dog, and he has to be in one of those boots. And QAnon people are claiming is in an ankle bracelet. Untrue, obviously. Agent Venom Snake with 20 bits. To know if it's a legal ballot, you have to note the subtle coloring, tasteful thickness of it, and especially the watermark. And Tucker White 94 with 200 bits. I'm your new bits leader, bitches. Kneel before your new bits leader. Kneel. That's legal. Yeah, that's legally binding. People have to kneel now. That's how it works.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Probably a Lannister with 25 bits. Registering lots of new voters is only normal on election year. If they're Republicans, anything else is voter fraud and illegal. Sarcasm. Yeah.
You're not up by 700,000 votes when you're about, what, 65% in, 70% in. Usually they call the race then.
Right there.
And then you call Joe Biden's won by 80,000 votes. Come on.
Well, but the problem is the news agencies too, because since they're calling out states early, like what they did with Arizona, then they're not calling Pennsylvania when it was completely overwhelming. So I think the news agencies were
right, because there were tons of mail-in ballots which we knew were going to favor Democrats because Donald Trump had been demonizing mail-in ballots all year long. Okay? Glad we're on the same page.
with this too.
Oh, and they also didn't call it because it wasn't mathematically impossible for Joe Biden to win, which he did do. So if they had called it, they would have been wrong. Do you not see the flaw in your thinking? Why didn't they call it when 60% of the vote was in? Because they didn't know who was going to win that state. And if they had called it the way you wanted when it was that, they would have been wrong. You're literally advocating for them to call a state wrong. You just want... I understand. And I'm thinking of this rationally, which is why it doesn't make sense to me. I'm thinking of this from, I want an accurate result, whereas they're not thinking that. They don't want an accurate result. They want Trump to win, even if it means being wrong in terms of who voted for who. But that's a fucked up way to think. You shouldn't do that. If you're someone who's anti-democracy and you just want to win despite the will of the people, you shouldn't be in this country. You shouldn't. You should go away. I don't know where you should go, but it shouldn't be here.
The tools of capitalism.
Empty the tanks with 20 bits. Can you explain why Americans have to register as either Republican or Democrat, or is that not a thing? I might be wrong. You don't have to. You don't have to. Usually, I think from a long time ago, back from when I'm, like, early registered, I think I registered as a Democrat, but I think it'd be more appropriate to say I'm probably independent. Some states have closed primaries, which means that, like, if you're a registered Republican, you can only vote in the Republican primary. If you are a registered Democrat, you can only vote in the Democrat primary, and if you're unregistered, I don't think you can vote in the primary. Michigan doesn't have that. We have open primaries, so... Either way, yeah, it's just dependent on the state for that kind of thing.
Going on.
All this.
Definitely.
And then you get the Rhino Republicans saying, but you can see, one thing you can see is all Democrats, Rhino Republicans, you can all see them saying, concede Trump, because...
The most amazing thing over the past 4 years has been seeing Republicans label people like Mitt Romney and John McCain rhinos. For those who don't know, Rhino stands for Republican in name only. It's basically a pejorative Republicans used against Republicans that they don't think are towing the party line enough. John McCain and Mitt Romney, the two previous Republican presidential candidates, were labeled as rhinos because they disagreed with Trump occasionally. Absolutely absurd. These people have lost the plot. They are out of it. They are not dealing with reality at all at this point.
They know it's kind of, if they go through this lawsuit battle and goes to Supreme Court, they're done for.
Yeah.
Because everyone might be saying, oh, it's getting dropped from all these other judges and everything. You got to see the areas it's getting dropped from. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, you're going to Atlanta, Georgia, you're going to all
Wayne
this.
County,
I know,
all them.
Michigan.
Again, like I said, the Pennsylvania lawsuits that they're talking about, the big one, got bumped up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which had 3 Republican nominee judges. One of them was a Trump nominee. He literally got put there by Trump, and I imagine they'd call this person either a rhino or a deep state plant, but they were literally put there by Donald Trump, and they said, no, this lawsuit is bad and you should feel bad. We read it the other day. It's ridiculous that these idiots think it's... For one thing, the judicial should not be, like... How do I want to put this? The judicial branch should not be partisan in the first place. It is for stupid reasons, but, like... When even a Trump appointee is telling Trump, no, this lawsuit has no basis in fact, is that not the signal where you should be like, maybe I need to rethink my position on this whole election fraud talking point? But no, they just go and they revise their talking points. It's wild. Absolutely wild.
But the thing you're seeing is they put it in all Democrat Obama.
Yeah, dismissed the case with prejudice. Hoikaman with 421 bits. Bow to me, mortals. At Tucker White 94 was a false prophet. I am your one true God, the one true bit leader. Fight, fight, fight.
With judges. So they would just throw it out, throw it out, throw it out. When the end goal, what I...
Well, I got a hair in my mouth.
There's nothing funny
It's
about
mine.
the tools
It's
of
fine.
capitalism.
Tucker White 94 with 20 bits. I'm the leader once more. Ooh, fight, fight, fight. Oh no, what did I do? Okay. Oh, I muted it. Whoopsie.
It's going to go to the Supreme Court, and honestly, it should be 9-0 for Trump because the fraud is so out there, like you can see it on fraud.
Again, you're saying the fraud. This is such a weird move. I've seen this move further and further this direction for weeks, right? Like, it's people like this just saying, the fraud, it's so obvious. There's so much fraud. It's so obvious. And then when you ask for, like, specifics, they're like, it's just obvious. Look at how many people voted for Biden. It's like, yeah, a lot of people voted for Trump, too. We had crazy turnout this election cycle. It's not a conspiracy. It's just voting. Republicans really don't like democracy. Have you noticed that? Hoika man with 20 bits. Think again. Forever I will reign. Good luck. Good luck with your battle.
Videos
No,
that
but
we'll
the
have in
problem,
the description.
we got 3 liberal activists in there,
Yep.
and then we got Roberts, which he has no idea what he is. Doesn't even know
he'll
what
just,
he thinks.
Will turn into a 5-4 for Trump. But it's sad that it even has to go this way. What I say, it's pretty sad that we're even dealing with this. We should have known election night.
Do these people understand that, like, for instance, the Georgia lawsuit that we looked at the other day here on stream? We read it. It was the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. They ruled, no, it was right for them to drop the case with prejudice and not allow you to refile a second time or whatever it was. If that goes to the Supreme Court doesn't automatically go like, I have declared that Donald Trump wins. Like in that specific case, which was a big case, all the Supreme Court could even potentially say is, no, you can refile that lawsuit. And then it would go all the way back down to the bottom court, and they could refile the lawsuit again. It doesn't mean that they're just going to say, Donald Trump wins. That's not how it works. Do these people understand anything? Do they understand how anything works? Because it doesn't work this way. Empty the tanks with 20 bits. Hannah, you always brighten my weekday mornings. It's 8:30 a.m. here, and it's nice to have you in chat to accompany me while I work. Well, thank you. And Tucker White 94, 20 bits back to the lead.
November 3rd, who won the presidency?
That's also an overwhelming.
November 3rd? The votes weren't counted on November 3rd. If we're talking about who had the most votes November 3rd, Joe Biden. They just hadn't been counted yet. Do you understand that votes sitting in a box waiting to be counted count exactly as much as votes that have already been counted? They were all legal votes. They're just waiting to be counted. Joe Biden won. The votes weren't made after the 3rd. They just counted them after the 3rd.
Numbers Trump won.
You gotta remember, at night he was winning every single...
Hoikaman with 40 bits, I shall not be slain, and Tucker White 94 20 bits fall.
Battleground state it was. Right here, he was winning.
Yeah.
Every single
And then
state.
we wake up the next morning, and then, oh, Biden took them all.
Yeah, Biden took them all. Yeah, 4:30 a.m. where all the ballots just came in.
Yeah.
It's just a shame at the end of the day. But this is a key path for victory for Trump, and it's pretty much wide open.
I don't even understand what is a key. Just yelling the word fraud naked in the street, drooling. You think fraud, fraud? That's not a winning strategy. It's not. You probably need to rethink it. Tucker White 94 with 20 bits now fall.
So don't be, thinking, oh, Biden's going to be my president. Oh, I'm looking at social media. I'm looking at the news, and they're saying President-elect, how they call it, President-elect Biden.
Which he's a self-proclaimed one, which the media doesn't call the election.
No, he's a...
No one said the media. The media didn't decide the election, but they do report on the winner. Again, I've said this every election video where they're claiming this shit. The Associated Press has made a call on the projected winner, every election since 1849. Now, I know these two little boys, this is their first election, and it's very confusing for them. But no, the media does in fact report on who won the election. That's not them deciding who wins. It's them reporting on who has won. I don't understand what they don't understand. MMO addicted with 1,000 bits. Hey there, kiddos. Daddy's back.
Nominee still, you gotta remember that. Where they're, oh, he's getting this cabinet in, he's doing all this. Oh, it looks like he might be president. No.
Well, but that's what they're doing. They're trying to make you deceived. They actually think that he...
No, he's just doing his job because he's going to be president on the 20th of January, and he actually wants to do a good job, unlike Donald Trump. Agent Venom Snake with 30 bits. It bothers me that these guys got their matching mics lined up their laptop with their flags and hats, but didn't get matching shirts. Amateur hour. Tucker White 94 20 bits. The best thing about a straw man is that you don't have to put effort into an actual argument. Also, screw you, MMO addicted.
Is president-elect.
And then they're trying to put, oh, Republicans are even saying that you're a disgrace to democracy, to Trump.
Well, but they have always been a disgrace to Trump the whole entire past 4 years, all those Republicans.
Yes, and Trump pretty much is the definition of America. Freedom for the American people.
Donald, I agree in some respects. Donald Trump, have you seen the movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito? The plot of Twins, for those of you who don't know, hold on, Twins movie. Okay, so the plot of Twins is that Arnold Schwarzenegger is a genetic... It was an experiment to try and make the perfect human, right? So they combine like the genetic material of like Nobel scientists and geniuses and chess players and bodybuilders and a bunch of like basically every positive trait, and they put it into one baby. They put it into one embryo.
There's nothing funny about the tools
But
of capitalism.
as a result of this experiment, it separates into twins, and all the shit stuff, like all the bad genes, split off and become Danny DeVito. It's a funny 80s comedy, okay?
There's
Go
nothing
watch it
funny
if you
about
haven't.
the tools of capitalism.
Donald Trump is the Danny DeVito twin of America. Donald Trump is all of America's worst qualities. Narcissism, like self-interest despite the consequences for others, greed, anger, vindictiveness, hate for people who are different than you. Like, he's all of America's worst qualities wrapped into a single human being. It's pretty messed up. Hoikaman with 40 bits. Over the God has shown themselves, still second place. Tucker White 94, 20 bits. These tools say Trump embodies freedom like it's something you can quantify. Yeah, it's very stupid. Hoikaman with 20 bits. Now I'm in second place. And then Tucker White 94, I'm second place. Oh boy, keep the fight going, folks. Good luck. And then this is a poster of twins, but it's Jason Momoa and oh no, why can't I remember his name?
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
I'd watch that movie. Anyway.
He's been the president.
Hoikaman
He's
20
been the
bits.
best president for the American
Tucker White 94, 20 bits. No me. Oh boy.
people in history of presidency.
You could literally just go look back at our
nothing funny
why
about
Trump
the
should be
tools of
elected again
capitalism.
video.
But the thing is don't worry about all this, all these people saying it.
Peter Dinklage, that's his name. Thank you.
Stand up for President Trump, the president that will be elected in 4 more years, maybe 8 more, because you know they tend to cheat. And also the
nothing funny
first
about
4
the
years,
tools of capitalism.
they just say,
What? How can you in the same breath say, maybe Donald Trump will get 8 more years because the Democrats cheat? What are you talking about? 8 years is the term limit. Donald Trump, the only way he could get 12 years is if he, like, broke the Constitution. In the same breath, you're saying Democrats are cheaters. Also, fuck democracy and term limits that we set for our public officials. Like, do they not understand? Like, at least John Doyle. And I'm about to give credit to John Doyle, which the universe might crack in half. John Doyle is a fascist, but he's a fascist who's good at choosing his words, right? Okay? These guys are like if John Doyle was too stupid to know what not to say. John Doyle knows how to use his words to have people read between the lines and understand what he's saying. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. These guys are just stupid and are like, oh, I think the Democrats are cheaters. Also, I want Daddy Trump to be emperor for life. It's a bad look. It's a bad look.
All this stuff and try to impeach him. One final thing I want to say.
Tucker White 94, 20 bits. No me
There's
in all
nothing funny
caps.
about the tools of capitalism.
Empty the tanks with 20 bits. Imagine a remake of The Shining where everything is exactly the same except instead of creepy twin girls in the hallways, it's these guys.
I already said this.
Come play with us, Danny. We'll explain why America is a constitutional republic and not a democracy. That's a line Republicans have been repeating a lot. Have you noticed that? As if the two things are mutually exclusive when they're not. We're a constitutional republic that is also a democracy. Republicans really don't like democracy. You notice that? Weird.
In a past video. 2017, what was it? Russian collusion. 2018 was Russian collusion. 2019 was Russian collusion. From all the Democrats saying it was Trump.
Then what happened 2020?
Harry K5 with 20 bits. Obama exposed the racism. Trump exposed the crazy. Also, I propose a bit Royal Rumble and then clear the egg with 50 bits. It's hilarious how chuds like this will argue simultaneously that Trump is a great president because he got so much done and that he should get a redo of the first 4 years because Democrats completely stopped him from accomplishing anything. Yeah. Being a Republican is about having cognitive dissonance. If you didn't have cognitive dissonance, you wouldn't be a Republican.
Biden says this was a fair election.
Safe and secure.
Safe and secure. So isn't
Nice.
that a red flag for you right there? So all 4 years, pretty much when Trump got elected, Russian collusion. You had Mueller Report spending $22 million of taxpayer money and everything.
The Mueller Report made money, actually, because they seized a bunch of assets from some of the people they arrested. Fun fact, if a Republican ever is like, that cost $22 million, yeah, the assets they seized were worth more than that. It made money. Cha-ching.
And they never got any evidence. He went up there and he was like, look in the papers, look in the papers. They had no evidence of anything.
Completely untrue. These two have not read it. The Mueller Report said, hey, the president obstructed justice, so we weren't able to investigate all the things we wanted to. He refused to come in for questioning. And also, yeah, he probably did stuff, but we, as the DOJ, our policy is not to indict sitting presidents, which is the dumbest policy ever, and completely against the rule of law. But here we are. Apparently, presidents are fucking kings now that can't be indicted for illegal activity.
And then you go into now, we got
Bill Barr did say there's no election fraud.
a safe, secure, fair election. But you know why they say that? Because they know that they actually cheated this one and try to make it where Trump lost.
See, it wasn't a foreign country interfering with our elections. It was a domestic party, a domestic Democrat party that interfered with our election,
Yes,
making
they did
it
it.
completely unfair. And you can't, the people can't trust this government or trust this election.
Oh, no.
Because of exactly what the Democrats did. They
Doing
literally
the hokey
destroyed the
pokey. Thanks for
integrity of
following.
our electoral process.
And that's one thing I want to add to that is the American people, let's go say this goes all for Trump and everything. They will never trust the government again, the American people. They won't. They already don't trust
The
them.
little, very, very low amount of trust.
Yeah.
Because the Trump wasn't there.
Because
It's going to be diminished.
But the thing is it's no one's going to trust the government anymore because all these people that come out and say, "Oh, they fraud this election and it flipped to Trump's favor." No one even likes the government right now because all the Democrats in it. But
These people want a one-party state. They'll criticize China for having a one-party totalitarian state, and then literally, without irony, advocate for Donald Trump and the Republicans to turn the United States into a single-party totalitarian state. It is absolutely frustrating. Tucker White 94, 20 bits, they're so close to figuring it out. I don't think they're that close. It would be, giving these guys credit, it would be like, you ever see that chicken that can count? It would be like saying that chicken is close to figuring out calculus. Not really.
gonna even trust him any bit. When you play with people's rights, especially the right to vote,
The big one.
yeah,
There's nothing
you're
funny
The
about
Republicans were the ones messing with people's right to vote this election. They completely tried to fuck over mail-in ballots by dismantling the Postal Service, which they failed to do, luckily. Donald Trump still lost. You guys can only win when you try and dismantle people's right to vote. You make it difficult. You try and disenfranchise people because you know you cannot win because your ideas are not popular. Here's a hint. If you want people to vote for you, have ideas that people like. Guess what? Dismantling Social Security? Not a popular idea. Getting rid of protections for people with, like, pre-existing conditions? Not popular. Making it so people will work for lower and lower money while the rich get richer? Not a popular idea. Stop it!
literally just playing with everyone's freedoms.
Tucker White 94, Hannah, I think the chicken is closer to figuring out calculus than these tools are to reality.
And it doesn't even exist.
Yeah. So
But-
no one's vote.
Antipodian Squid, thank you for
Actually,
subscribing with a 7-month streak. Antipodian Squid says 7 months of serving the Dark Mother, 7 months well served. Love you, Hannah. Thank you.
Counted.
Pretty much at the end of the
No
day,
one's
if you
vote.
cheat one, none of them counted.
Yeah.
But all I know is we will elect this guy for 4 more years.
Angel sent from God.
Yes.
He'll
and
be back.
Yes, he will. And if you enjoy
I'm telling you guys, people like John Doyle and these guys, there's 2 ways they can go. They can get over this and they can try to keep being pundits. Like these guys, for instance, Young Conservative Brothers. 3,000 subscribers. I think they've... How long have they been making videos? Let me take a look. Do-do-do-do, 2 months, 3 months. They've only been making videos for 4 months. Okay? So these guys have time to shift, and if they want to be right-wing pundits online, they can still do so. They just need to drop the Trump thing, because he lost, and the longer you hold on to this, the worse it makes you look in hindsight. Like, can you imagine how embarrassing videos like this are going to look in February, March, April, May, June, July, 2021, 2022, 2023? Like, this looks bad.
There's nothing
And if
funny
people
about
like
tools
this
of
don't
capitalism.
start to pivot, it's going to be too late and they're going to crash into a wall, right? The writing's on the wall. Trump is out. People have voted. The people of the United States have made their voice clear. They don't like Donald Trump. A lot of them do, unfortunately, but luckily, most of them don't. You gotta pivot.
There's nothing funny
Pivot
about the
your
tools of
right-wing
capitalism.
bullshit to be focusing on literally anything else but an individual person that you want to be a totalitarian emperor. Please. For your own good and the good of the country. My goodness. MMO Addicted with 100-bit Liberty Hangouts Wet Dream, and then there's a link I'll look at in a second. And then Baja Blast says, multiple people have been linking this in chat. It looks bad. Let me look. And then this was the link. I literally saw someone, this is a picture from an Assassin's Creed DLC where George Washington, instead of becoming the first president, decides to become the Emperor of the United States. I saw someone unironically edit this into Donald Trump. They put Donald Trump's face on this. And they were like, yay. Even though it's bad, and that's not good. Okay, so here's my point. Conservative brothers, you need to pivot. You need to start
There's nothing
pivoting.
funny about the tools
If
of
you don't,
capitalism.
it's already embarrassing, but at least you could save face. This is for your own good. I'm telling you as someone who's been on YouTube for almost a decade now, do not tie yourself to an individual
There's nothing
political
funny about the
candidate like
tools of
this.
capitalism.
Not a good move. Logarth with 50 bits. One of my favorite friends I've known since college killed himself the other day, so I have some pretty particular words for these chuds, John and Mr. Trump. And then, I'm sorry to hear that, by the way. And then Tucker White 94, 20 bits, you missed bits message. I always do. Wait a minute. I'm hearing this for the first time. Not really. God herself came down and said Trump was her appointed candidate. Anyway, so that's them. Can I just point out also, their thumbnails are very annoying. Look at these thumbnails. These are so fucking ugly. I know that's funny coming from me because I don't even bother with thumbnails on my clips channel. I just, like, throw them up and I don't even bother because I put out, like, 4 videos a day. But, like, these thumbnails are god-awful. Please stop. Please come up with a new template or something because this is not good. Anyway, I'm sure we'll see more of them in other